What is your view on what has happened today and what Israel has done regarding this flotilla?
So the raid is a crime against international law that got the anger and discontent of the international community because of the raid that they did, and such operations go against the international law, especially that this flotilla with the boats that exceed 70 boats had medicines and aid to support the Palestinians that have been facing the Israeli seas for more than 2 years. And so this crime was condemned by lots of countries as describing it as a war crime, and it is some kind of maritime piracy, especially that this flotilla was headed to provide humanitarian aid and medicine, especially that in the first time in 2012 Israel did this with the Turkish flotilla, and they killed tens of people then, and then Turkey insisted on a formal apology from Israel, and so Israel is doing this all over again, and they are taking hostages, and this time it is they are doing a large number of brutal crimes, and they have taken and detained lots, and lots of countries have reaffirmed the condemnation of the international community and its refusal to the war crimes done by the Israeli occupation forces on the Palestinians over the past 2 years of genocide.
Now, of course, in this particular flotilla, not only the climate activist Greta Thunberg, who of course is very famous, but also MPs and lawmakers from countries all over, from Europe, from South Africa, and all over the world, Latin America as well. Do you think Israel cares that they're now detaining lawmakers, politicians, people from these countries, these high-profile arrests? Will it put any pressure diplomatically on Israel?
Israel knows that these activists uh, are from the international community. These are lots of them were activists. Some of them are artists or send a humanitarian message. And so this flotilla has been in the water for so long that even for a month actually. And so yeah, Israel tried a lot to hinder them, and I think that what happened yesterday, that was live and everyone was watching it. It was a message that the international community has to say that Israel doesn't care anymore about the international laws or the humanitarian law, and they only care about genocide and about killing and starving the people. And so this time. Everyone is condemning this. Everyone is angry. Now Israel is basically isolated, and there are protests today and tomorrow in lots of European countries. And so this needs the intervention of the international community and the UN that still that are still bound by the USA's rules, and so they need to condemn Israel, isolate it further, and hold them accountable, because what happened breaches all the international laws.
Yes, South Africa and lots of countries have condemned this, as we mentioned earlier in the program. South Africa has said it is Israel continuing to break and flout international law. Colombia has announced the expulsion of Israel's mission in Colombia. Could we see governments perhaps taking similar drastic, more severe steps against Israel?
Yes, of course, with the condemnation, lots of countries, even in the European Union, but they were friends of Israel yesterday, and they were its allies, but now they condemn it, like Spain, um, and Italy. They have condemned Israel and refused these operations, and they need a strong stance. And like lots of the European countries have said that the anger right now, the public and global anger, is isolating Israel basically, and everything that they are doing is being held as proof. And now Israel feels that they don't have any allies in the world, except for America. And now, you know, Netanyahu won't be in chair long, and neither will Trump be, and so they won't have USA support forever. And the Israeli occupation will end because of the wave of anger in the countries. And what happened with the Samud flotilla shows that Israel is dealing with public anger.
Now, some of the activists have described what has happened as kidnapping. Do you think that is accurate, maybe in legal terms? Of course, this did happen in international waters.
There are some occupation operations that go against and breach the humanitarian law and the international law, and some may think of it as piracy and abducting that need Israel to be held accountable in the international court of. And so, yeah, they need to be held accountable to for attacking the Samud flotilla. And so I think that the international community will need to be held accountable in the ICG, and the activists will not let go of their rights after everything that they have faced of the abduction and forcing them to do things that they didn't want, and trying to hinder the aid ever since they started sailing. And so here the USA thinks that they are that they and the USA has been giving them support.
Yeah, I mean, what immediate steps do you think could be taken by the UN, by the ICC? That probably couldn't happen straight away, but could the UN do something to address these violations at all? It hasn't proved to be able to do much so far.
The UN the UN doesn't do anything but condemn and release statements. But countries like South Africa, Egypt and Ireland, they have been refusing everything, and they have they are basically trying to get them to court, to the International Court of Justice, and to get back the rights of those civilians and the Smooth Flotilla. Also, these are international activists that are trying to stand for the rights internationally, and so yeah, they need to be held accountable. But the UN doesn't do anything but to condemn. But they could support them further, but we need the UN to call for a ceasefire, and this is what we're waiting for in the upcoming hours, and to have new conditions and international laws that condemn Israel and stop them from these hostilities.
Now, of course, this flotilla's aim isn't just to try and get aid into Gaza, it's to bring awareness that Israel has this blockade in the first place. Do you think this time and the fact that there were so many high-profile people on board the flotilla, that this time it might help, and the global condemnation, it might help to change global perceptions?
Yes, of course, the goal of the Sumut Flotilla is to get the attention of the international community, especially that they had high profile pictures of people who had messages, and so they wanted to get the attention of the international community to what's been happening for the past 2 years with the Palestinians, and they wanted to send a political message to the international community that they need to intervene and tell Israel to stop with everything that they're doing in Gaza, and that it is time to have a ceasefire and to save the Palestinians from the starvation and the killings. And so the Israel is trying to keep on with everything that they are doing, but what they did this time was above and beyond, and the Sumut Flotilla wanted to show that Israel doesn't allow the humanitarian aid and they need to be held accountable now. And so this is what the protests are doing, condemning everything that they happened. And so soon we will see we will not see very fruitful outcomes, but on the long run we will see the huge outcomes, and that they will be boycotting Israel and isolating it and maybe even holding it accountable.